I'm Emily Cannon from the Tupelo Ward, and I'm here at the Voyles farm with Eli Childs from the Tupelo Ward, Sarah Lay from the Starkville branch, and Clark Mason from the Smithville branch. We also have a special guest, Brother Voyles, our state patriarch. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I think it's a real pleasure to be able to talk to you young people about the responsibilities of the patriarch. I was called to be the Tupelo State Patriarch in 2011. It's been an interesting thing to be the patriarch. This old farm has been owned by a member of the church over 100 years. And so in that period of time, for probably 50 years or 60, almost 60 years, this farm was the church in Smithville. Whenever missionaries came, when meetings were held, be there mission meetings, psalm meetings, district meetings, they happened right here on this old farm. Been blessed by literally hundreds of missionaries as they've come here to meet. They leave their blessing on this place. We've had visits on this farm from mission presidents, state presidents, an apostle that's been here, all leaving their blessings on this place. And so it just seemed to me, what better place to give patriarchal blessings. But I'd like to just address some of the things that I feel would help you as youth prepare to come for a patriarchal blessing. It's not secret, but it's sacred, and it should be treated as something sacred. In fact, I maintain that patriarchal blessings are indeed scripture to the person that gets it. Because it's the Lord talking to you, and the scriptures is just the Lord talking to the prophets, right? It's going to become something special that you're going to keep the rest of your life. When you come, before you come, think about your life, what you want to be, what your plans are, what your aspirations are. Be ready to answer the question the patriarch is going to ask. Because he is going to ask this question. Tell me about yourself. Understand, the patriarch has no way to know about you except the Lord until you speak. When you speak, then he starts to get spiritual impressions. And he gets to know you. Now there's some things you learn as soon as a person walks in. I can tell you a lot about Sister Lay without ever knowing her. Because her spirit speaks to mine. Your spirit speaks to mine. When you walk in that door, President McKay taught me that. And if you're sensitive to it, you will feel it too. You will know that one spirit talks to another. I maintain that if you leave your life up to the Lord, you will do well. But if you decide you're going to give the Lord some help with your life, you'll do even better.
Tell us why you give patriarchal blessings in your home.
The last thing I do before I give a patriarchal blessing is I walk in that bedroom, I kneel down by my bed, and I say a prayer. And I ask the Lord to tell me about Emily Cannon, or about Eli, or about Clark. And I ask him not to tell me, but to speak through me to them this day. It's not me giving a blessing.
So you've talked a little bit about what you do before you give a patriarchal blessing. How else do you prepare to give one?
Many times I fast. things. The other thing I do is read scripture. The wife and I, we'll have scripture daily.
What is a patriarchal blessing?
So it's a father's blessing. The only difference between the blessing that I would give you as a patriarch and the patriarch you get from your father is that your father will not give you your lineage in the house of Israel. But he can give you everything else. In fact, I encourage young people to ask their dads for father's blessings. President Monson said that it's kind of a center line down the road. It won't tell you everything that's going to happen in your life, but it'll tell you the main things. And not everything that's in a patriarchal blessing is time restricted. It may not happen in this life. It may have already happened in the previous life. Or it may be that it will happen in the next life.
When a youth receives their patriarchal blessing, how can they use it later when, like, after years have gone by and can get more out of it?
How can you get more out of a patriarchal blessing? That's an excellent question. And I think that the answer to that is probably similar to how can I get more out of the scriptures? And that's by reading it over and over and over. You will learn something from it this time that you thought you knew before and you didn't quite have it yet. See what I mean? So I think reading the other thing I would caution is don't read things into it. Read what it says and then ask the Lord. And if you want to know how to interpret a patriarchal blessing, that's the best way to know is go to the Lord and say, Lord, what did you mean by this?
What is the most difficult part about being a patriarch?
I think the most difficult thing is maintaining your spirituality. Because a patriarch is a prophet, a seer, and a revelator. He has to be those things. Can you imagine how hard that would be? Just think about it. Prophet, seer, and revelator. And does he need the Spirit to do that? He can't function without it. And keeping that Spirit with you at all times is the hardest part.
Who makes the decision on when it's time for a youth to receive their blessing?
Who makes the decision on when it's time? I hope it's the youth. I hope it's not parents. If parents are pushing their youth, the youth may not be ready. I gave one 82-year-old lady her blessing. It has to come from within. When that young person feels they're ready, they should go to their parents and say, Dad, Mom, I think I'd like to get a patriarchal blessing.
How do you know what house of lineage to give a person?
How do you know what house of lineage to give a person? The answer to that, the real answer to that is I don't. I don't know. But when those words come out of my mouth, I'm as surprised as a person is. Some not even of the house of Israel, but are adopted in. And that's okay too. All you gotta do is get in the house, right? If you remember the house of Israel, once you get in there, you're good. you.